Mommy, Daddy. These were the sounds that echoed through the village as thousands of bodies piled up. Those who were living were in fear, petrified in terror. The slightest sign of a cough, a vomit, a headache, a fever, and then came the vomiting of blood, the swelling of the lymph glands that at a certain point would burst, oozing out blood and pus, and this was a sure sign of death. This is a scene of the second wave of the bubonic plague in Europe. From 1628 to 1631, almost 1 million people died in France alone. Terror had spread throughout Europe, even in a little village in Bavaria in southern Germany. Until 1632, the inhabitants of this little village had been able to protect themselves from this horrific plague that was spreading death all throughout Europe. This had come on the heels of the 30 Years' War that had spread devastation and starvation, and now was the moment for the plague to take hold. In 1632, a man stumbled into the small village of Oberammergau. He was contaminated with the plague, and it didn't take long for the plague to spread. And every family in Oberammergau was suffering the consequences, either with a loved one who was dead or a loved one who was dying. The townsmen and women gathered together. The authorities of the village, in deep discussion and prayer, reached a conclusion that they had to raise their hearts and minds up to God to ask for His help in this situation, because they did not want their village to be decimated by the plague as so many others had been. And so, in 1634, they made a vow to God that every 10 years they would perform a passion play in honor of the life, death, and resurrection of our divine Savior, Jesus Christ. If God would spare them from the ravages of the plague and keep them safe. Once this vow was made, the plague ceased in Oberammergau. Those who were ill recovered, and from this day forth, not a single person died from the plague in Oberammergau. The villagers kept their vow, and every 10 years they performed this passion play. From 1634 until today, this year, 2020, this play still happens. And in fact, 2020 is the year for this play. More than 450,000 people will go to see it. And you can too. Perhaps we can go together in 2030. This is the Catholic response to a plague, an epidemic, or a pandemic. So perhaps, in face of the coronavirus, we should be asking ourselves, are we turning our hearts and minds to God? What prayer or vow are we making for ourselves and our loved ones so that God once again will protect those who turn to Him in a time of crisis? My name is John Tucker. I'm the founder of Passionate Catholic and the Catholic Storyteller. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today or benefited in some way from this very short story, click the subscribe button below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll get the notifications of when we release our stories on the Catholic Storyteller. Now, if you're the type of person that you want to know more, go deeper, be bigger and bolder, then down below you will find a link to Passionate Catholic for our full daily episodes delivered to you with abundant stories, material, and surprises in your inbox. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, Jesus and Mary, get us there.